What's up, you guys? So, first off, I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in to the podcast today. And if you missed it, go ahead and catch it on the replay. It is posted here on YouTube. Um, you know, I feel like we're going to be talking about racism forever. It's like we're back in the 1960s. This is the 1960s twilight zone that we have now all officially been into, and this is our lives now. So, Michelle Obama, I don't know what that woman's addiction to racism is, and having a racist experience. Like, it's just, it's incredible to me. It's like, what is the point in having money if you're still going to feel like you can't walk your dog without your racist white neighbor, since you chose to live in a white neighborhood, is going to somehow feel like you are an eyesore to their community and create this scenario for you. It's like, why do these black people that talk about racism move to white areas and then turn around and say that they're horrified about how they're going to be judged constantly? It's like, why don't you move around your people? Like, why don't you move somewhere else? Like, the Obamas are rich. Like, they have enough money to be able to move to a place like, Africa, Nigeria, one of those continent countries, and really thrive. And yet they are here as rich, wealthy blacks, telling blacks that they need to have this fear of white people. And it's like, do these people realize that on a normal, non racist, rhetoric, democratic push, that most black people aren't experiencing racism every day? We can go about our business, we can go about our communities, and we are not experiencing racism. We are not going out of our houses living in fear. We are going out of our houses, going about our businesses, knowing that we need to do what we need to do to make sure that we are not targets in any way. And the way that these people are trying to frame these narratives is as if black people need to be horrified going out of their house. And this has not been the reality for normal blacks. I don't know what the rich black people are going through. Like, what are you experiencing? First of all, you guys are living around all white people. So maybe move back around your people if you feel like you're just that overshadowed by racism and black struggle. It's like, move back around your people, even if it's in the U.S. Go move in the hood. Go back to Chicago, Michelle, and live on the South Side. You ain't about to do that. That's too close to the reality of your people. But and your husband was president for 8 years, and you are talking about how you're still mortified about the racism in this country. And it's like, I really, when I say that I don't listen to blacks over 50, I really don't listen to them because they've listened to an elder of theirs, who listened to an elder of theirs, who continue to repeat their experiences of black struggle and organic black struggle, excuse me, in the context that this is what the next generation should be weary of happening to them. And I have a problem with that type of generational rhetoric because from decade to decade, we have seen the black established family disintegrate. But for some reasons, these ideals, because they broke up the black family, which basically discuss these struggles, but in the context of you have to live by the black blueprint, which is you got to go to school, you got to get yourself educated, you got to get a job, you got to make a living, you got to do something with yourself in this country. You can't just sit around. That is the black blueprint of success in America. All right. And for some reason, These black liberal Democrats follow that blueprint, and some of them are even able to be successful, but for some reason, they are not able to achieve this level of a progressive mindset. They are addicted to the struggles, the pains, the transgressions of our people. And they are not only addicted to it themselves, which means that they have not actualized, they have not became. And because have not became, and they just achieved a level of success by whichever means they did that, they can continue to perpetuate these narratives and these ideas to future generations, not realizing that racism is taught to black children before it is experienced by black children, and that is the truth. And I think that it would be a disadvantage for any parent to teach their children about history in the context of just struggle and not progress and not elevation. Excuse me. Because despite how much the black community has been torn down in several different colorful ways by the individuals that claim to advocate for them, we've also progressed in many ways. And I feel like our struggles are constantly distracting us from progress. And when you think about even the whole idea of black history was a way to highlight black progress, not black struggle. And so when you look at how black history is celebrated today, we're constantly highlighting black struggle and where we came from in the context of this is where we are. And the black community in America has definitely progressed. It's definitely progress. And I would say that I would challenge anyone to show me anywhere outside of native black countries where blacks are living anywhere where they actually have to coexist with other races better than they're living than blacks here. Like, show me where they're living better than us. I mean, is it Europe? I mean, show me where blacks are living better than the blacks that live in America. Or are they living the same similar experience in certain segments? And so with blacks over 50, I find that they are committed to being disenfranchised mentally to struggles that we have gone through, but we've also risen above. And even when it comes to owning the black narrative, they have not done that. And that is why I feel like the black community in America, especially the liberal black community, is such a leverageable community because they are inhibited from actualizing individually because they're committed to collective struggles that they feel almost obligated to pass on from one generation to the next. And so when I get blacks in my inbox telling me that I should be ashamed of myself for not viewing America as a racist country and believing that if you live by the black blueprint, the black American blueprint, educate yourself, excel at anything that you do, be competitive, that you will see some level of success. And I don't think that there's a shame in believing that even though this obstacle that is racism, it exists, that we cannot find a way around it to be great. And there are certain individuals in our community, like I said on one of my posts this week, there are certain individuals in the black community that absolutely could use a little more tender loving care. But when people talk about the black community, whether they're black liberals or black conservatives, I always like to challenge these people. What segment of the community are you talking about? Are you talking about our poverty line blacks? Are you talking about our fading middle class blacks? Or are you talking about our upper echelon blacks? Who are you talking about? Because you cannot summarize the community as a collective. Because each individuals in these different segments of Black America has lived the American experience differently. And so when conservatives want to talk about how blacks are lazy and they're unmotivated and they want to talk about them like they're animals that's out of control, it's like, well, which segment are you talking about? And when liberals want to talk about how blacks are victims of racism and systemic racism, with whatever that is, somebody please still, I'm still wondering what is a definitive definition of systemic racism, and if there's a definition, who caused it? And I think if you get to the root cause of systemic racism, you'll realize that the individuals that are in power right now may have a hand in that. But off of that, you know, I feel like in order for black people to own their narrative, they need to stop allowing the past generations to project their experiences on them as if it's going to be their own. Because it's very possible that a next generation black will only learn about racism, but they will never experience it in the workplace or in any other institution in America unless somebody intends for them to experience it. And that's pretty much, what I want to say is I don't listen to blacks over 50 because I feel like they are committed to rhetoric, ideology, narratives, and perceptions about the black community that just does not resonate to me and my experience. And if I'm going to create an experience which encompasses me being actualized to the potential of me being successful, I need to be able to let go of everything. Excuse me, my sinuses, everything start growing. My everything just starts going crazy on me. But for me, I cannot allow myself to continue to be governed by ideas, rhetoric, narratives about myself as a black African American individual in this country, because they are marginalizing and they are inhibiting. And I don't think that it's fair that any generation would pass these psychologies on to another and expect for a progressive next generation. So let me know what you think about this. I think that people need to start getting an individual perspective on things and really learn how to own their own narrative in a way that's meaningful. So I hope everyone is having a good evening. I am like a nerd right now. Like, I go visit family and then I come back and I start writing because I'm working on a book. And a lot of the engagements that I do with people and the content, it really just helps me to formulate my thoughts for my book. So back to writing. Have a good evening, everyone. If you're out there having fun, be safe.